Hello, my name is Keith Newman. I work with the UF-IFAS Brevard County Extension, and today I am taking some soil samples out in a little field, and I figure I'd do a little video on how to properly do them and why you'd want to. The why is pretty simple. If you are wanting to know what's actually in your soil, whether you're working on your lawn in front of your house or if you're working cow pastures out there with acres and acres of fields, you want to know what's actually in there to what you can add to your fields in order to make them more productive or look better, or just to find out what content's in there, the pH value, how much phosphorus you have, nitrogen, all of that. You'll find that out by doing a soil sample, right? And that'll give you a good idea as to where you start if you got to add things or do whatever for your lawn or your pastures. All right, taking a soil sample is very simple. You're just going to need soil. All right, and the best way to get that is you can either use a regular shovel. Like if you don't do soil samples very often, you're probably just going to use a shovel itself. Or if you don't want to, or if you do soil samples quite often, or you know you're going to, you could always pick up one of these little coring tools here to get your own samples. All right, but the way to properly do a soil sample is actually very simple. You just go out to your field, look for a nice spot where you want to start. You're going to take your tool. I'm going to use the actual coring device because you can do this with a shovel as well. You're going to go down 6 inches. So you just take it, you push it in till roughly about 6 inches, give it a little bit of a turn, and when you pull it back up, you will actually have a bit of soil in here that'll give you your soil sample. All right, if there's any green organic matter, or any organic matter for that matter, you're actually going to try to pick it out here as best you can, or once you put it in the bucket, you can pull it out there. I'm going to try to get some of this out now. It'll save me a headache down the road. But there we go. So there's my first soil sample. So I'm going to take that, hit it, put it in the bucket. Now, that's it. That's all you got to do. Now, the only problem is you can't just take this one sample. That's not going to give you an accurate read over your entire field. You need to do this about 10 to 15 times for one soil sample. So we're going to do that same process over here, over there, back by the trees, back over this way. We're going to go all over the place. And once we have 15, we'll then have the bucket more full, and I'll show you the next step. All right, like I mentioned before with the soil probe, you can't do this with the shovel. The only difference with the shovel is going to be a little bit more hands-on. All right, with the shovel, you're going to pull up a lot more dirt. All right, and you're probably going to get rocks and everything else. You want to go through and get rid of rocks like this. You don't need those. And then you have all this topsoil right here. So if you have like a little knife, maybe cut into that just to like kind of pull it free, because you really only want the soil and the dirt underneath. You don't need any of the grass that goes with it. All right, so you're going to pull that out. All right, and now you have roughly 6 inches of soil here. And you don't need that much either. You can start whisking away, getting rid of more rocks, getting rid of even more rocks. And you can see eventually you'll start shaving it out, and it'll be roughly the same consistency of what was on the soil probe, of roughly 6 inches. And then that is what you'll take in. Also be mindful, again, you want to get rid of any of that matter I was talking about before, of the green stuff. But again, whether you do it this way or with the soil probe, you want to do it at least 10 to 15 times. That'll give you an accurate soil sample. All right, so I've gone around the field and I've taken 15 samples from all over the field, and I brought it back in here so you can see the bucket's all full. The one thing I want to do now is I want to go through one last time, make sure any other grasses or anything like that is taken out of it. You don't want any green in there, you don't want any brown in there really either. If you find any kind of shells or rocks or anything like that, you're going to want to pull that out as well. All right, one thing you can do, get a screwdriver or a spoon or something and just give it a good mix. So you want to mix it all over because you want a good sample from all over the field, which is why we took multiple samples. Give it a good mix, just like so. And once you've done that, and you got the rest of your green out, it'll look something like this. Then you can take your bag, whether it's this bag or another bag or however you want to store it. Just pull it out because you roughly only need a pint out of this. You're not going to need the whole thing. All right, so we're going to hold this bag open and we're going to try to pour it in here, because you want roughly a pint is what you're going to be sending out to the soil lab. Come on. All right, perfect. All right, so now you've placed it in the bag. You can take it, you can roll it on up, make it all nice and secure. Be sure that you fill out the form in front. Mainly you want just your name, your address, your email address, and you also want to identify what this bag is. So like if you're doing just your front yard, you put front yard. If you're doing your backyard, you put backyard. Or if you had multiple pastures, this is pasture 1, this one is pasture 2, this one's pasture 3, just so you don't mix up what samples go with what area if you take multiple. All right, once you've done that and you've got it in the bag, you can then take it and set it aside. The idea, you're just going to set it aside, let it sit for like a day or two, because you want it to be dry. You don't want it to be wet. All right, you want it to be dry. All right, you could, if you wanted to, just leave it in the bucket and let it dry that way, or let it sit in here and dry. It's entirely up to you, but the main thing is making sure when you send it in, it is dry. All right, but that's what you do. That's how you do a soil sample. The next part after that is filling out the form, and I'll show you the form in a second. As I mentioned before, this is the form that you have to send in with your soil sample to the soil lab. It's a pretty quick form. We'll go over it really quickly just to give you the ins and outs of it. But it's 2 pages. It's the front and back. All right, on the front side, you just have your name, the date, address, email address. Like it says here, if you do the email address, it'll give you the results faster. Once the soil lab receives your sample and this form, it generally takes 3 to 6 days, and you get your responses back. All right, then it gives you a little information about what the test A and what test B are. Choose whichever one fits what you were looking for, whether it's like you're just doing like your lawn or you're looking for like horse pastures or whatever. Just figure out from here which one you want. Down here is where you're going to put the label of what your sample is. So when you poured your soil in and then you wrote down like pasture A or front lawn or whatever, that's where this will go right here. The county that you're in, the estimated acreage, circle whether or not you're doing A or B. And then you have your crop codes. The crop codes are found in the back of the sheet. That would be down here. Again, if you just have a hay of grass or you're trying to do your front lawn with St. Augustine, you could put down these numeric codes based on what's there. If you're doing something special like vegetable gardens or blueberries, you could put these down here. So make sure you put the proper code down for what you need. All right, that's pretty much it. Just take this and your sample, put it in a box, ship it off to UF IFAS at this address right here, and you'll get your results in 3 to 6 days. The remainder of the sheet is actually just going over what I've said in the video, how to properly take the sample, why you do it, what you're going to get from it, all of that stuff here. But that's generally all you need, just this form, your sample, send it in, and in 3 to 6 days you will actually get a copy of it, and you can see what your lawn or your soil needs. If you don't understand what the form is actually saying to you, contact your local extension agent. They will happily go over the results for you and tell you how to properly implement that into what you're doing. All right, thank you very much. Good luck.